What would you tell a brand new buyer of a business or somebody starting a franchise? What would they need?
I've been fortunate to work with a lot of first-time business owners. Been developing a process, right? We work side by side with our customers, especially that first 3 to 6 months, making sure you have adequate working capital. Do we need an operating line in place? A lot of things that buyers don't think about is part of managing cash flow is.
Good morning. This is Seth Rudin from IBA. I'm a business broker, and I like to hold various podcasts, as you can see on my YouTube channel and LinkedIn, with various business owners or trades professionals or service professionals. Today, I'm fortunate to be joined by Mr. Billy Huntley of Washington Trust Bank. He's a great person, trade partner, and a friend of mine, and I'm glad that he joined today's podcast. Billy, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me. So Billy Huntley with Washington Trust Bank. I'm a commercial relationship manager. So helping business banking clients with all aspects of the relationship, including the banking, cash management, and credit needs. I've been doing this for 25 years or so, and excited to be partnering with you and to be on this podcast.
Excellent. And you grew up in Washington, am I right?
I did, yeah. I grew up in Shoreline, Washington, so just outside of Seattle. So homegrown, been here my whole life.
And you hate baseball and football, is that right?
Big diehard, bleed the colors of the teams, and take it hard when things don't go well. Looking forward to a Seahawks run in the playoffs here.
That'd be great. And weren't you like the bat boy or something for the Mariners?
Yeah, a long time ago, almost a quarter century ago now. So fortunate enough to be around when the Mariners, won 116 games in 2001. We hosted the All-Star game that year. So it's a great experience. Did it for 4 years. Taught me a lot about professionalism and competing. Kind of made me, in a lot of ways, who I am today.
Was it Ichiro on the team? Who were on the team?
He was, yeah. So we had Ichiro, Edgar Martinez, Jamie Moyer, Mike Cameron, Lou Piniella, Dan Wilson, of course, current manager, was our catcher back then. So yeah, it was quite the experience.
What an awesome experience. So jealous.
A lot of fun, a lot of great stories.
Bill and I love to rap about baseball, but today we're going to talk about business. So how does Washington Trust help your customers? What do you guys offer?
Yeah, so we are a full service commercial bank. So, we can do anything that any other bank can do, including the big banks. We have all the digital solutions where you don't need to find one of our locations to visit. We've got cash management. We help you get money in faster. We help you hold on to it as long as you can. We've got, the payment technologies, ACH, anything that other banks offer to get payments in as fast as possible. You do it well. And I think the big differentiator with us is the team we put around you, the attention we give our clients, and really our advice and counsel and our responsiveness. I think as banks grow, it's harder to respond in a timely fashion to clients. And that's something we've held tight on too. It's just making sure we're responsive to needs and being proactive when offering solutions.
So if I'm going to buy a building for a customer or buy a farmland or buy a business, you guys can do conventional loans?
Absolutely. So we help with all aspects of the credit cycle. A lot of clients need a line of credit to help with working capital needs, short-term working capital. Real estate needs come into play. You want to buy the building you're operating out of. We do that all day long. Equipment financing, debt restructuring. If you have debt on the balance sheet, you want to consolidate, put into better terms, we're happy to help with that. Somebody wants to buy a business, we can certainly help with that as well.
So talking about working capital, not everybody probably knows what working capital is.
Yeah, so working capital. So, you've got several sources of working capital, right? You got cash, you got accounts receivable, and you got inventory. For most clients though, AR and inventory, depending on what type of business, make up the bulk of your working capital, right? Cash is probably the least amount of that bucket. So AR and inventory, it takes a while to convert that into cash, right? Every business has a different cash conversion cycle, different sales cycle. So, you have that on your balance sheet. You need cash to work with until you convert that into actual cash. So most businesses need a line of credit. And typically we secure those lines with, that short-term collateral, such as inventory and accounts receivable. It gives the business room to operate and cushion, and helps them manage their short-term working capital needs. And it's a small interest expense to have that peace of mind. And, it really helps clients kind of plan their growth for long-term success.
I like to say it's the gas in the gas tank to keep the car going fast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Without the gas, your business isn't going anywhere.
You need cash available, whether it's cash in the bank or cash that you can borrow off a line to be able to operate day to day. So
it's amazing. Some of these businesses like Dell in the past had a negative cash conversion cycle.
Yeah.
Right? They received their accounts receivable before they paid out their accounts payable, and they didn't have any debt on the balance sheet.
Yeah. Way back then. Yeah. Most businesses, you need an operating line. If you have AR and inventory on the balance sheet, it's something we'd recommend for every company. Even if you're in a good cash position because of retained earnings, it's always good to have an operating line available should you want to grow and, expand what you're doing.
Are customers better to keep talking to the bank even when they don't need the money versus just coming to the banker? Hey, I need money and I need it in a month or 2
Yeah,
weeks?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Fire drills are tough, right? From a timing perspective. So, I think any bank's got their process for, getting a loan request from start to finish. And I think it's always good to have constant contact with your banker. It's different for every company. Some monthly, quarterly, some twice a year, some maybe annually if there's less complexities to the business. And the banker should be doing some of that as well, as far as reaching out, staying connected, really understanding the business, understanding how cash comes in, how it goes out, where you may have some challenges with cash flow. And the other piece is, what are your goals, right? If a business owner has a goal of buying a building, your banker should be helping to get you from point A to point B. Because typically, when you have a long-term goal like that, it doesn't just happen overnight. And we can help clients prepare to make that loan request, put them in the best possible position and achieve their goals ultimately.
Excellent. And then your bank, obviously, you have merchant services and 401k. What are the other things that you don't really talk about a lot, but still vital to a business?
Yeah. So I think the number one thing that is top of mind for us right now is fraud prevention solutions, right? The number one, if you're with a bank, a lot of times you don't really think about changing banks unless something happens. A lot of people think it's a pain. Sometimes it is, sometimes it really isn't. It's just kind of all in your head. But the number one thing that'll make you think about that is if you have fraud on your account and your bank's responsiveness, right? For us, that's where we shine. Every client we bring on, we have a team. You have multiple contacts. We'll get back to you same day or within 24 hours on every need and in a matter of hours if it's an emergency. When a customer has fraud on their account, time is of the essence. You need responsiveness for 2 reasons. You need to prevent anything further from happening, and you need to come up with a plan to pay outstanding items that are actually legitimate. So we put stuff in place that helps prevent fraud. And then, if something does happen, God forbid, we have the responsiveness and level of expertise to make it right as far as making sure we get items paid that are actually legitimate, and then start our process on the fraud investigation.
Very good. And then, as you know, let's dig a little bit deeper because I have people watching this who are going to buy a business for the first time, similar to the aerospace and defense company we sold. Yeah. Obviously they'll need fraud, but they may open a bank account for the first time. They may get their first merchant services and they need to do all these other things.
Yeah.
And do you guys have suites? What would you tell a brand new buyer of a business or somebody starting a franchise? What would they need?
Yeah. So our process, and I've been fortunate to work with a lot of first-time business owners through acquisitions and been developing a process, right? You get to day one and a new owner has all these things on their minds about the day-to-day operational things they're going to do to, get in there, grow the business and try to figure out what's going on. Money coming in and money going out is a very real thing. And we talked about working capital earlier. So we work side by side with our customers, especially that first 3-6 months, making sure you have adequate working capital. Do we need an operating line in place? How is money coming in? Do we need to, look at converting customers from paying by check to paying by ACH, get the money in faster? And then a lot of things that buyers don't, think about is part of managing cash flow is managing that cash flow within the terms of your current vendor agreements. If you have terms with vendors, suppliers that are 30 or 60 days, you shouldn't be paying on day one, right? You should be holding on to that till day 29 if it's a 30-day agreement, because that's what your customers are doing, right? So you got to kind of manage that on the back end. And I know it feels good to pay a payable the minute it comes in, but if you got terms, hold on to that cash. You might need it, and it may prevent you from borrowing and accruing interest expense.
That's great advice. It's good for all business owners to have, whether new or experienced. I sold a 20-year business and they paid their invoices on day one, and then they received their monies, sometimes 45 to 60 days. Luckily, they had, plenty of cash to manage that, but they just didn't like it on their conscience. But the better management and the better process, what I've seen is what you just described. So, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you think about, some of our customers that have, really big clients, whether you got Amazon or a client or Microsoft or whoever it is, you kind of think about how they're paying you. You're invoicing them and they're delaying that payment as far as they can. And you got to kind of to work the same way, because that's kind of how it works as far as managing cash flow.
How involved is the bank on the AR and working with the business owner to make sure that they're keeping it current and following up on bad debt and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's an analysis, especially if we have a credit relationship with a customer, that we're always on top of that, right? It's always conversations with the client. How can we help you get money in faster? What are you doing? How can we help? And especially if, we have a line of credit, because the way lines work, AR is only eligible, if it's aged a certain amount of time. So if you have AR that's creeping up past 90 days, then, we really have a hard time lending on that. So, we're always trying to make sure, number one, it's better for the client to get it in faster. Number two, we got to make sure it's eligible if we're going to lend on that, support the short-term working capital.
Very good. That's a wrap for this video. Billy has done great. He is from Washington Trust. How do people get a hold of you, Billy?
So the best way is just send me an email. So bhuntley@watrust.com. That's BHUNTLEY@watrust, WATRUST.com. Just shoot me an email. If you ever thought about a new commercial banking experience, would love to chat. Just kind of learn about what you have going on.
Great. Thank you. This was awesome. Seth Rudin, you'll find me on YouTube or LinkedIn, or Seth@ibainc.com. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you.